Welcome to Fresh Perspectives, a series of interviews with professionals who have insights. And today I'm really happy to be joined by Magnus Josephson, who is Sweden's #1 expert on selling to the public sector. And that's not just Magnus's words or my words. He's well known both on LinkedIn and internationally as the premium expert in that space in Sweden. Magnus is known for many insights, but we're going to focus today on one in particular, where he talks about the importance of, are you selling inputs or are you selling outputs? Magnus, please explain.
Thank you, Don. Thank you for having me. I'm very happy for that. Well, input, output. When you sell, I've noticed that most sellers and buyers, they like to talk about the input, meaning products, services that they want to buy and put into the organization. But what about the output? What will this investment lead to if you only look at the products? Well, you don't know. So I think you have to start by talking about the output. What output do you want, dear clients, when you buy this? What are the results? What are the effects? What are the positive outcomes that you want and need when making this investment?
Can you give us an example?
Yeah, well, the basic question is, how do you measure success? Well, one example is, let's say you want to sell computers to the education sector, schools. When you start talking about output, the first question you should ask is, what is most important to you, dear customer? Is it that the computer is cheap and delivered rapidly? Or is it that the pupils and teachers think that they're actually really helpful for making education more effective, so that pupils can succeed with the grades and exams? And I'm quite sure that most customers will answer that the second example is more important than the price. But by some reason, many people don't talk about that.
How many people do talk about that?
Well, too few, of course, but I have no percentage. But if 10% do that, I would be surprised.
Wow. Now, I'm mindful that you're working at quite senior level with very experienced teams. You know, you've worked with companies that are well known. You've the likes of Ericsson and American Express and Apple and IBM. I mean, these are all very, very accomplished and experienced sales teams. Are you seriously saying that many people at this level are still selling at the level of price and how fast is the delivery and other such technical spec rather than usability in schools?
Yes, I am, by several reasons. Most of them are dependent on resellers, and so they don't always sell themselves. And even though they have this great qualities in the companies, it's hard for the customer to translate that into answering, how should I buy this output? So they are experts at explaining how good they are, but they leave the customer there. And instead of helping them, if you want to buy this, if you want to make a public procurement, which is my expertise, this is how you should evaluate these outputs compared to just the price.
Okay, and I guess part of that is making the service easier to buy, right?
Yes, you have to educate the customer how to buy, make it easier for them to buy quality than this lowest price, or lowest price.
So I'm really hearing a strong educational component here, not just because you sell, or not just because some of the public sector buyers are in education, but I mean education in the broader sense. You're educating customers, you're educating buyers, you're educating the customers to educate the buyers. Yep. A lot of the time. Yep. What happens those who don't absorb these lessons?
They will be stuck on selling and buying on lowest price and compete with lower and lower margins. So there's no other way out of there than learning what are our values and how should that be bought by the customers.
Right.
So there are the lowest price sellers, and either it's small contracts or it's large contracts with even lower margins, or there are sellers that can explain to the customers that or make the customer understand that they are so dependent on this supplier that they want to pay more to keep them.
Right. So I guess there's an important piece here about what kind of relationship do you want to have with your customer?
Exactly. Yeah. The lowest price seller will have quite short relationships or no relationships at all than the invoice. The output-driven sellers create much closer relationships and longer and more profitable for both parties.
Yeah. Now, I know you've been doing this for quite some time. You've published several books on the subject. How did you come to learn all of this? You know, today you're educating people on a clear distinction in what we would call value-based selling, I guess. How did you arrive at that?
By having thousands of meetings with both companies and buyers, where I quite soon discovered that they always talked about the same thing. The sellers say something like this: our products are so good, our services are of such high quality, but still our customers buy on lowest price. Why is that? Well, they don't understand why and how they should buy a better quality. And reversed, the buyers, we do not want to buy on lowest price because that makes, it's almost like a lottery who wins. And we don't want a lottery. We know exactly which sort of suppliers we want, but what should we look at instead of just lowest price to be sure that we've chosen the right supplier, even when it comes to quality and output.
Okay.
So I've processed that through the years and made lots and lots of procurements and tender bids regarding selling or buying quality.
Okay. And how is this scene evolving, in Sweden? If we look at the future, for example, where so many things are changing and there's so much evolution in just about every market, I'm thinking, of course, of AI here, but I'm also thinking of other things. What does the future hold in the world of selling to the public sector in Sweden?
Mm-hmm. Well, this is a constant dialogue. Talking about output, you have to do it constantly. You can't just leave it there. So if you want to be more profitable, especially in a world with inflation or less money for the public sector, talking about value is so important. If we look at the writing tender bids and so on, I guess AI. Well, I know AI will be very helpful for writing bids if you are satisfied with coming on second place or lower. But if you want to win, you really have to write a tailor-made tender document with the values for that special client presented in a clear way that they can measure and that you can prove will actually happen also.
Right. So turning to your services, Magnus, so okay, you educate clearly, and I know you do because I follow you on LinkedIn. You educate people on how to buy, on how to sell. You educate people on the practical steps around that. If they engage with you, what kind of work do you do with these leading technology companies?
Yes, well, education is often the start. We do a workshop where I ask them what are their qualities, what are the outputs of what they sell. And then we translate that into evaluation criteria. And then we let the sellers try this. They ask new questions in the sales meetings. And we gather information from the buyers. How mature are they? Are they ready to take a new step to try to buy quality or not? And if they are, we then gradually educate their clients in how to buy quality. And within a year, we see the first results. And within 2 years, they are way ahead of their competitors.
What's the biggest deal you've won?
The biggest deal I've won is 300 million euros.
Wow.
The biggest step I've seen one of my clients take is going from 5 million euros to about 200 million euros in 6-7 years as a supplier to the public sector, only by talking about quality instead of lowest price.
Wow. Well, if that's the value of the shift from input to output, what a great way to finish. Magnus, thanks very much for taking part. There'll be details for anyone who wants to connect with Magnus. There'll be details in the text that accompanies this. Congratulations, Magnus, for building such a fabulous professional identity on the quality of your insights.
Thank you so much, John.